Hello, friends. Welcome to Math Time with Mrs. Idas. Today we are going to be comparing numbers, as we have been, with our little turkey graph here called Flashy Feathers. It's inside of one of your packets in your toolkit. So you'll just need to flip the pages and go ahead and find Flashy Feathers. But before we begin, I would love to read you this cute story by Eve Bunting called A Turkey for Thanksgiving, illustrated by Diane DeGroat. Look how cute! I see a moose and a rabbit and a little turkey. Let's find out what happens in this story. Wow, look! I see little pilgrim and turkey decorations. This is a great book for November, isn't it? It was Thanksgiving morning. Mr. Moose helped Mrs. Moose set the Thanksgiving table. Sheep will sit here. He likes a chair that's straight up and down, Mr. Moose said. Rabbit here, porcupine here, Mr. and Mrs. Goat here. He smiled at his wife. Isn't it nice to have friends to share Thanksgiving? Oh, they're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Mrs. Moose set 2 paper pilgrims, one at each end of the table. She placed the paper turkey with a great fan of a tail between the candles and stood back. They look good, my dear, Mr. Moose said. Mrs. Moose sighed. Yes, but I wish we had a real turkey. Everyone always has a turkey for Thanksgiving. Everyone but us. Mr. Moose nuzzled Mrs. Moose's head. Well, that won't do. I will go this minute and find you a turkey for Thanksgiving. Oh my goodness. Mr. Moose put on his cap and went out. Mist wandered through the bare trees. The cold made his nose water. Rabbit poked his head from the rabbit hole. Mr. Moose, is it dinner time? Not quite yet. Mrs. Moose wants a turkey. I'm off to find one. Rabbit joined him in 3 quick hops. I'll come too. There's Rabbit, and there's Mr. Moose. Moose's warm breath hung white in front of him. Snow crunched under his hooves and made little holes that Rabbit jumped over. I see the goats, Rabbit said. Mr. Goat raised his head and spat the tin can he was chewing. Is it dinner time? He called. Not until I find a turkey, Mr. Moose said. We saw one down by the river, Mrs. Goat told him, and Mr. Goat added, a fat one. Oh my goodness, there's the goats. They are eating all of these things around their house, all the trash. Well, that doesn't taste good. The goats leapt down from their perch. We'll show you. Sheep was farther up the hillside, looking round as a fur ball in his winter coat. Bah! Is it dinner time? He bellowed. First, I have to find a turkey, Mr. Moose bellowed back. There's a turkey nest on the riverbank, Sheep called. Wait for me. The earth smelled of ice and moss as they crunched along. Above them, a crow hung black as a puff of wood smoke. Porcupine was hiding in the underbrush. It's you, he said, and put his quills down. We're off to get a turkey for Mrs. Moose, Mr. Moose explained. Do you want to come? I'm slow, Porcupine said. Pick me up on your way back. Who'd want to pick you up? Sheep asked, and laughed his little bleat of a laugh. Meh. I'll wait, Porcupine told Mr. Moose. See, he's too pokey. Nobody can pick him up. They saw Turkey's nest right away, and Turkey himself peering over the top of it. Turkey, Turkey, Mr. Moose called in his sweetest voice. Ah! Turkey blundered from his nest, and he ran. Mr. Moose lumbered after him. Turkey, don't run. We just want you for Thanksgiving dinner. Turkey ran faster. Do not disturb. Come back after Thanksgiving. No turkey here. I know, turkeys do not want to be Thanksgiving dinner. Mr. Moose saw the red and blue sheen of Turkey's neck. Turkey's tail brushed crumbs of snow behind him as he tried to fly. Too fat, Mr. Goat said. Turkey's legs bent in the middle as he fell. Mr. Moose put a booted hoof on his head and smiled his great toothy smile. I hope you don't have other plans for Thanksgiving, Turkey. He helped Turkey up. My wife won't mind that you're too fat, he said. Let's go. It's getting close to dinner time. They marched Turkey in front. "I'm sorry about this, for I see you don't want to come," Mr. Moose said, "but I must insist. A promise is a promise." Why do you think Turkey doesn't want to go, boys and girls? Do you think that he's scared of becoming Thanksgiving dinner? I think so too. Let's find out what happens. There was a wreath of dried fruit on the moose's door. Inside the house was filled with Thanksgiving smells. Mr. Moose hid Turkey behind him. "Look who I brought, Mrs. Moose," he said. "Sheep, the goats, rabbit, and porcupine. And ta-da!" He pushed Turkey around in front of him. "For you, a turkey for Thanksgiving." Mrs. Moose clapped her hooves. "I'm so happy to have you, Turkey. Thank you, Mr. Moose. Now everything is perfect." "Shall we sit?" Sheep asked, heading for the straight up and down chair. "Let's." Mrs. Moose pointed. "Rabbit here, porcupine here, Mr. and Mrs. Goat here. And look, I brought a chair from the other room in hopes of Turkey." A chair?" Turkey stammered. "Right next to me," Mrs. Moose said. "Light the candles, Mr. Moose." Oh, look, they wanted Turkey to be their friend, not their dinner. Phew, that's close call. There were bowls of acorns and alfalfa sprouts, dried since summer. There was willow bark, cured grasses, and wild parsley. There were pressed leaves, thin and pale as new ice on a pond. "I hope you find something here to your liking, Mr. Turkey," Mrs. Moose said. "I wasn't sure of your taste." "You are so kind to worry about my taste," Turkey said. "I thought you would be worrying about how I would taste." Oh my goodness. But we know now that these animals just eat plants. They're herbivores, not carnivores. "Heavens no," Mr. Moose smiled his big-toothed smile and filled everyone's cup with cold spring water. "It's so nice to have friends around the table at Thanksgiving." Turkey's wattles wobbled. "It's even nicer to be at your table and not on it," he said. "Happy Thanksgiving, everybody." Happy Thanksgiving, Turkey. Isn't that a cute story, friends? So let's go ahead now and take a look at our flashy feathers. Now, today we need to find 4 different shapes on the turkey's feathers, and then we will need to graph those shapes here on our graph with rows. So we'll be graphing from left to right today. So first off, we need to find our blue crayon, and every time we find a square, we will need to color it blue. So go ahead and color the blue here up on your key and the blue square here as part of the key on the graph. Now, every time we find a square, we will color it blue. Let's look together. I see a square right away. So let's color that square blue. Try to do your best with wow colors. Let's go around the feathers. Oh, there's another square. So far, we have found 2 squares on the feathers. Let's keep looking. Down, down, down. No more here. Let's look on the wing. Oh, here's one on the top. So how many squares are on the turkey? 1, 2, 3. So that means I need to color 3 boxes. So let's begin. 1, we always start on the left first. 2, and 3. 3 on the graph for 3 squares on the turkey. Excellent job, friends. Now we need to find rectangles, and the color will be green. Can you find your green crayon? Let's go ahead and color the rectangle at the top and the rectangle in the key. Green rectangle. Now, again, we're going to look on the turkey's feathers for any rectangles we might find. Well, here's one on the tail feathers. There's one rectangle, and here's one on the wing. 2 rectangles. Do we see any more? Nope, just 2. So we have 2 rectangles to put on our graph. 1 spot, 2 spots, and that's all. So let's compare squares and rectangles. So far, I have more squares and fewer rectangles. Good job, friends. Let's find our red crayon now, because our next shape, the circle, will be red, R-E-D. Here it is in the key. Now let's look at the flashy feathers for any circles we can find. Oh, here's one on the tail feather at the tippy top. And here, towards the bottom of the tail feathers, that's 2 circles. Do you see one on the wing? I do too. I see one on the wing. Excellent. So how many circles did we find on the feathers? 1, 2, 3. Hey, that's equal to squares, isn't it? 3 circles and 3 squares. That's even. It's equal amount, 3 and 3. Remember that word, equal. That means the same. 1, 2, 3 blue squares. 1, 2, 3 red circles. All right, triangles is next, and we need to find our yellow. Can you color the yellow triangle at the tippy top? Here we go. Try your best. Now, yellow triangle on the key, and let's see how many triangles are on the turkey's flashy feathers. Well, here's one at the top. 1 triangle. Here in the middle, 2 triangles. And one at the bottom of the tail feathers. 3 triangles. And do you see one more? Right here on the turkey's wing. 4 triangles. Wow! 4, that is the most of all the shapes. So triangles with 4. 4 is a greater number than 3 or 2. 4 is greater than 3. 4 is greater than 2. Very good, friends. Now, if you would like, you can go ahead and color the rest of your turkey for fun. Maybe a red wattle and a yellow beak, and maybe a brown body, some yellow talons. Thank you for coming to Math Time with Mrs. Itis today. I love making graphs and comparing numbers, and you are getting so good at helping me compare the numbers with the words more and fewer and equal. See you tomorrow.